And one of our findings when we go back to the 80s and the 90s was, of course, that electrohypersensitive people, they have a dramatically increased number of so-called mast cells. They have nothing to do with telecom masts. They are just big and clumsy, and in German that means they are mastig, and therefore they are called Mastzellen or mast cells, and they are the common denominator for situations like allergies, asthmas, and other oversensitivities. And when they release their famous content of molecules such as heparin and histamine, you get the allergic reaction. And electrohypersensitive people have a dramatically increased number. And also when we did experiments using normal healthy volunteers, that was medical and dental students, exposing them to household television sets and household computer screens, in the order of a third or even half, got an increase, quite a big increase of their mast cell number in the skin. And of course, the mast cells are probably not the first, but at least the second cell type to react to various forms of radiation, including ordinary white light, to heat, to ultraviolet light, to X-rays, to radioactivity, alpha, beta, and gamma rays, and to cosmic rays. And therefore, it's easy to imagine that maybe they also react to non-ionizing radiation, like from cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, etc. And in our studies, yes, that's exactly what they seem to do. And I found out 2 days ago in a conversation with colleagues in Singapore and in Australia that they are about to start experiments using mast cells from electrohypersensitive people as well as from normal healthy volunteers, and see how they differ, how they react, etc. And all of that is based upon the initial observations done by me and my co-workers. I felt very, very honored, I must say. It was very fun to talk with them. So things are on the move. And again, as you say, in the kind of studies we did using, for instance, rats and other experimental animals, it's just impossible to understand the changes after exposure in the terms of mass media-driven psychosis or imagination or psychology. And, here in Sweden, for instance, and in other countries, people have said that you only want to drain the social security system of money. But rats don't do that, they don't ask for any money, and still they have the very, very, very same reaction patterns. So, I mean, for me, that kind of explanations were gone in the 80s already. They are not at all of interest. Now and then you hear a medical doctor trying to cling on to it, but it's just amateuristic and not well informed at all. And also, I think that we need to go deeper into both the cellular as well as the molecular reaction patterns here. And in the meantime, we must respect, help, and support people with the functional impairment, electrohypersensitivity, and give them all the accessibility measures that they crave, need, and want. No question about it, And by doing so, for instance, lowering the exposure levels of society, maybe the big winners numerically will be everyone else. As in all other handicap accessibility measures, the big winners is always the general population. And of course, if we lower the exposure, maybe people in general will not have fertility issues. You will not see the same decrease in pollinators. You will not see effects on bacterial level. You will not have neurological damage to human beings, etc., etc., etc. So,
today,
there is so much that could be done here.
Everybody is sick. I want to commend you on your mast cell, I don't want to say theory, fact. In my own case, it's so difficult because of all the information on the internet about electrohypersensitivity. When I developed it, and I started doing research to see how I can combat the health effects. It's only once I got on your information on mast cell activity that I started studying that, and I started studying how I can calm mast cell activity. So my focus wasn't just on EHS. It says, okay, if you've got mast cell activation, what do you do to calm the mast cells? And there's a host of things you can do. And that's all worked into my protocol, into my EHS protocol. But I tell you, that made the biggest difference in my health, because then I was able to have a multi-pronged approach for calming the mast cell activity and actually combating the symptoms and just feeling so much better. So that for me was a milestone in my own health.